Hi, my name is Jeff Hewitt, General Manager here at Brian Cullen Motors, and today we are talking about another ZR1 build. Yes, this is a 2026 Chevrolet Corvette ZR1. So if you're in the market for a new or pre-owned vehicle, come down, check us out at 386 Ontario Street in St. Catharines and click the link at the top of the description there to start the conversation. Okay, so this is a 2026 Corvette ZR1 or ZR1. We're in Canada, so we're going to call it a ZR1 for now. And as you can see, it is in Sebring orange. What a beautiful color. Love this color, especially on this car. And we're going to talk about some of the features and choices that this particular customer made. Yes, this one is sold. This was actually special ordered for one of our great clients. He's made some really interesting choices on this vehicle, and I want to go over some of these things. A lot of carbon fiber, lots to talk about. But we'll cover a few of the basics on ZR1 as well if you're not too familiar with the vehicle. Of course, we all know it makes 1,064 horsepower. Unbelievable. But not only that, it has a way to control all that power and get it to the street. And so starting up front here, you can see that this does have the carbon aero package. So that means we got this wonderful carbon fiber splitter. We've got dive planes on the front here, creating that downforce. And of course, being a ZR1, there are a couple things that we give up. We do give up our frunk, my beloved frunk. I love my frunk in my Corvette, but that is so we have this additional flow-through radiator. So this is a twin turbo 5.5 liter making 1,064 horsepower. And what that does is that does create a lot of heat. So when the engineers got together putting this car together, they needed to have all of this additional cooling to deal with not only the usual engine cooling, but intercooler cooling. Lots going on regarding the technology in this vehicle. But part of this is all about downforce, and it's about getting that horsepower down on the surface, be it a racetrack or the street. What you have to do is you got to harness that power so you have traction. So all about front downforce is this front splitter, the dive planes, and all this air that comes through the front here and then exits out through the top of the hood. Now, this is a ZR1, so that means there is no button under here where we would normally open the frunk with. So I am going to do it with the remote. I'll give it a couple little flicks here. And here we have it. So this is very, very different under the hood. You can see we've got this additional radiator that doesn't exist in the Z06 or doesn't exist in Stingray, period. Plus, we've got these additional ducts coming up from the braking area. All of this is to do two things. One is to perform cooling for the engine and the intercoolers. The other thing, of course, is it's to make downforce. And when I say downforce, I'm not talking about a ton of downforce, not downhorse. So as you can see, it all exits out through here. So you've got all this air moving up, forcing the vehicle down. And they're saying, combined with this wicker here, the flow through, the dive planes, they're making about 1,200 pounds of downforce in the front of this car. Absolutely amazing. Let's get around the side here and take a look at some more of these choices. Of course, with all this carbon fiber up front here, the one thing that this customer obviously chose was the E60 front lift. So that gives you a couple of inches of lift just to get over those curbs, those low driveways, things like that. So they do have the front lift, but that's to protect this carbon fiber. Now we got all of this carbon fiber. Yes, this customer has opted for the carbon fiber wheel package. Now this is pretty special for a whole bunch of reasons. First of all, let's be honest, it's not cheap, okay? It's a very, very expensive option, but it's also a high performance option. When you select carbon fiber wheels on a ZR1, really you're eliminating about, well, just slightly over 40 pounds of rotational mass and unsprung mass. Now, those two things in themselves are really performance oriented. So saving about 10 pounds a wheel, it doesn't sound like a heck of a lot, but when you consider that that's 10 pounds of motion that you either have to stop or start in motion, that's rotational mass. And I got to tell you, engineers work really, really hard to try to get rotational mass out of vehicles. The other part of this is that wheels, by their own nature, they are what they call unsprung weight. So in other words, they're not supported by the suspension of the vehicle. So that means that weight has no control over it in the vehicle as far as the handling goes. So the less unsprung weight you can have proportionally in a vehicle and the less rotational mass, that all translates to performance. And if you were to look at some stuff online, I think you'll find that just by putting carbon fiber wheels, if you were to put it into an AI engine, they'll tell you that it'll save you somewhere between 1.5 and 2 seconds on a road course that's, say, about 2 minutes long. So it's a pretty significant difference. For those people out there that are trying to do serious lap time, this is a great option for you. While you're also looking at this wheel, notice that the customer paid special attention. Yes, put the orange calipers on it to match the orange paint. You know, nice touch, love that, along with the black wheel nuts. So as we go back here, we see some more carbon fiber, some of it standard, some of it not so much. This customer obviously chose to put the mirror caps on to match everything else. But then we see some venting here that's, well, it's a little different, and it's actually only found on ZR1 at this point in time. So what you're seeing is we've got this extra little duct here. What that is doing is introducing some cool air to the rear brakes. Once again, we're expecting the customer to drive this car hard. And so they're giving that extra braking back there. And then you're also seeing this extra duct here. That's bringing some more cold air into the engine compartment, into the airbox, obviously trying to deal with all this thermal management that's going on. That's why they're letting more cold air in here. When we get back to this carbon fiber wheel, once you pay close attention to what's going on inside the wheel here, you can see on the inside half of the wheel, there's a coating. And it's kind of an off-white coating, and that's actually there for a reason. Believe it or not, one of the things that they've taken into consideration that under extreme driving, so we're talking about brake temp now, we're talking about tire temp, that the brakes could transmit heat through the wheel to the tire. And if anybody follows racing, you can see what happens when brakes overheat. They actually can start to melt the bead on the tires. So what they're doing, they put a protective coating on the inside of these carbon fiber wheels here to actually reflect that heat away from the rim, away from the bead of the tire, to make sure everything stays intact when you're entering the corner. Let's take a look at this wing. So you just have to love this massive carbon fiber wing. Really, really cool details in how they put this wing together. Everything is symmetrical. Really, really nice touch. And it is massive. So don't forget, you're making all that downforce up front. You need the car to be balanced. And so they put this big, huge wing on the back, once again, to give it that downforce that, you know what, if you're going to test this vehicle to its limits, that's what you're looking for. You know, we're seeing new lap time records being broken at racetracks all around the world in this car. It's amazing how quick it is. And pick up on the nice split window detail, the carbon fiber that this customer chose to add on just to carry this theme throughout the car. What a beautiful build. Let's take a look in the engine compartment. And of course, this is a coupe. What we love about coupes, you can see the engine. And once again, the carbon fiber story continues. High performance, we're trying to get rid of rotational twist in the vehicle. Well, here we go. He's put the carbon fiber engine cross brace on the chassis back here as well. So everything stays in place nice and tight. What a beautiful finish though. Can't believe all the fine details under here, including the little rocket ships where obviously the air is going into the intercoolers. So you've got underneath here, you do have two turbochargers and intercoolers back here. They get cooled by the coolant. The coolant goes to the front of the vehicle, gets cooled off, comes back down. So this is a work of art under here. I invite you to come down and take a look at one of these things because they are special. Okay, shall we get inside and see what they've done in here? Let's take a look. So in here, once again, the customer made some really, really great choices. First of all, it's the habanero two-tone interior with the black center cushions, the orange touches throughout, but chose the stealth interior, so things like your radio speaker outlets, they're not bright, they're black. And the other thing is the carbon fiber everywhere. So we got the carbon fiber instrument panel package. So we got carbon fiber here on the center stack, all around the instrument cluster, on the doors. Really, really nicely tied in the entire car. What a beautiful machine. This is a real big upgrade in my opinion from the 2025 version that we saw. They've really stepped the interior of this thing forward. Amazing car. So this is a true enthusiast vehicle. This particular customer, he actually waited years for this one to get his opportunity to get this car. We do see our fair share of them, but the wait list is long. I gotta tell you, here at Brian Cullen Motors, obviously we do special things with Corvette. We'll have a special Corvette for you. Come on down to 386 Ontario Street in St. Catharines. Hopefully we can get you one of these quicker than later, okay? And it is quick. We'll see you soon.